Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today I start demolishing the bus. Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and those who are just joining me and wondering what is going on, let me introduce you again to this. This is my 1995 Toyota Coaster bus that is not going to be a bus for very much longer at all. It is going to be completely cut off and removed, keeping all of the running gear, the wiring, everything, and my 1954 Ford F600 truck cab is going to go onto it, and it's going to be a sort of a tilt tray car carrier for my project cars. And I've been waiting for this day for so long. Ever since I got this project and ever since I got the bus, I've been waiting to pull it apart. I know it sounds weird, and no, I'm not making a camper van. I don't want a camper van, like I've mentioned many times in previous videos. If you missed them, I'll put a link up above here so you can go back and catch up with the series. But no, I don't want to keep it as a bus. I don't need a camper van. I want the chassis and the running gear. It's reliable, it's sturdy, everything underneath is good, and it's going to be even better when it is a truck. So of course, when I started cutting the truck up, it was super hot, sunny in the middle of summer, and I was getting sunburnt. Now it is cold and wet and miserable in the middle of winter, cutting the bus up, so it's just the way I pick it. Anyway, enough yabbering. Let's get inside and start showing you around, and then we can start working on what we need to do about cutting the bus to pieces. All right, let's start you guys with a bit of a tour of the bus. So as you can see, it's a complete bus. I've taken the engine cover off, but the engine's all in good nick. We have just under 300,000 kilometers on the clock, so nice and fresh for the 1HZ engine that's in this bus, and it is currently a complete bus. Has all the seats, has everything. I've had a pain of a time to try and start it because the batteries are dead, so that is something that's getting rectified very soon. But I think for starters, the very first thing we need to do is start removing all these seats and get this interior out of here, because yeah, that'll leave us a whole bunch more room for activities. All right, so we have the back, all of the seats pulled out, and some of the discoveries I made. Still got a decent fire extinguisher there, which will definitely come in handy. I definitely like having as many fire extinguishers around the shop as I can, and potentially go back in the truck. These are a really cool bonus. I've seen these, and this appears to be a heater, which looks like it'll be pretty much bang on the perfect size to fit under the dash of the Frankenhauler. Whether I use it or not, it's still up in the air, but that is a fantastic bonus little piece of gear that could be good, and there's actually two of them in here. Obviously, to keep the heat all the way through to the back of the bus. It's also got the factory jack, which actually looks like it's been used and bent. So yeah, but all these things come in handy. But I've saved a whole bunch of the hardware, and one of the best bonuses I've found so far, look at the fitment of that seat. So there's plenty of space for the driver's seat over here. Yes, we are right-hand drive here in Australia, and the bench, one of these benches is perfect. You've got the sort of the main seat and a slightly smaller seat for the center, and if I can keep it as 3 seats, that is something I'm going to try and do, just because it makes it a little bit more practical. Most of the time, it'll probably just be one person in here, but if you need to carry 3 people, there is some space here to keep them in there. And even at the height it is and everything, it all looks like a perfect fit. So that is a little added bonus. All right, next thing I want to tackle is start pulling some of these panels out at the back here and expose the wiring so that I can sort of start disconnecting, labeling things, and sort of work out where the wiring goes, what's going on inside before I start doing major demolition. It's good to keep a roof over me for the time being, just in case it rains and stuff. I cannot fit the bus in the shed with the roof on, but with the roof off, I'm hoping it will actually fit all the way back through into the booth, and I'll be able to get it into the shed and work on it in the shed once it's just a chassis. So let's start pulling some of this junk apart. All right, so I'm taking this slow, methodical approach to pulling everything apart. I don't want to just cut stuff up because I want to be able to reuse all this wiring. So I'm going through, I'm labeling everything as I take it apart so that it's easier for me to track down what's doing what when I get back to putting the tail lights back in and things like that. But also when I go to remove things, I know there's an annoying beeper that beeps when the doors aren't closed and things like that, that I need to make sure that I know what's what so that I can cap that off later. But I don't want to spend the time to work that out now. Let's just go through and disconnect what I need to disconnect, and then we can start pulling more stuff apart, which is the fun stuff. All right, so the back half of the cab, the entire bus interior is removed, and now all of the wiring has been disconnected and labelled for the things I need to keep. In the top there was speakers and the sort of central lighting. I've kept what I need to. The rest now is all done. This is all removed, or at least the top half. So now I think it's time to start working out how I get rid of some of these windows. So yeah, let's get rid of the glass. One down. We have a plan moving forward. Let's get the rest out. Well, there's one. I didn't mean to break it, but that's what happens sometimes. All right, windows are out, doors are off. We are ready to start cutting. So I'm going to start from the back and sort of move my way forward. And I basically want to cut the cab up into manageable pieces. Because it's just me, I need to do it in stuff that I can physically lift, and I want to try and cut it in a way so that my last cuts are the sort of easiest ones where I can let it fall or whatever. We'll tackle it as we go, but let's see what happens. All right, so the back of the roof is off. It's actually much heavier than I thought, those pieces. So I'm happy I've got them down. The last bit, I have the windscreen in place, and I learnt at work on my job, my day job as a firefighter, a really easy way to get into a windscreen, particularly if we've got to get somebody out in an accident, is we actually use a reciprocating saw to cut through it. It cuts through it super fast through the laminated glass. The windscreen I know is going to be glued in much better than the side windows, so it's going to be, it'd be a pain to try and pull it out in one piece. So I'm just going to cut it, sort of cut it low down the front here, and cut these two A-pillars off, and that should let the top fall, and that's the last sort of bit of roof that I need to deal with. So let's do it. Mask on, glass dust is not good. So after all that talk about how hard it would be to get the windscreen out, looks like it was only held in by the rubber, because as soon as I cut it and pushed it over, it fell out. So, oh well. It's out now. All right, so I've spent a bit of time now and demolished most of the floor. But for the time being, we've got this mess. Now, it seems to be solid floor under this part here. The fuel tank is sort of underneath that area right there. So the next step is to start cutting off these sides. All right, we're making progress. Of course, it's starting to rain again, but we have the exposed chassis rails on the back, and this time I'm going to actually have to cut up and cut around the wheel arch for the time being. I think it's easier to cut that into a bit and cut it just in front of the front wheel there, and take that piece off and just work my way along the bus to get rid of the rest of the body. All right, so this side has the difficulty of the fuel filler. Now I've already sort of taken the rubber gasket out from there, taken the wheel arch liner out, and these are the lines, and they're loose. So I've just got to be careful when I'm cutting into them, obviously, or cutting around them, I should say, to make sure that I don't nick any fuel lines, because at the moment I want to keep everything to keep the vehicle running intact. Sweet. All right, I am sick of working in the rain, so now that I have the back half cut off and the roof cut off, I think the truck now, as it's no longer a bus, will fit into the shed. So I need to go around now. I need to ground out the door signals, because this bus has a safety thing. So if the doors aren't all closed, it actually locks out the accelerator pedal, and you can't move. The thing will not move with the doors done. It's something I'm going to have to remove later, but for now, let's trick it into thinking it has doors and that they're closed, and see if we can start the thing and get it out of here. So at the moment, I have to go through this convoluted process of jump starting it, because the batteries are no good, or one of them is completely dead. The other one has something in it, and it's a 24 volt system. So you have to sort of stop and think about how I'm connecting each of these things. All right, we have ignition. Shit. This is such a horrible system. I hate 24 volts.
So in the end, it still thought a door was open, so it was easier to just cut off the accelerator stop and deal with that later.
All right, I have a little bit of accelerator. I can get rid of the rest of that later. All right, there's not a lot of room in here, but it's in. So I'll take you around now and show you how much space we've got. But we have a truck in here in the garage, which is going to make it much easier to work, and I can hopefully just trim the rest of the body off, and then there'll be heaps more room to work. So let's get stuck into that. But I think for now, I think we can kill it. All right, we're getting there on the body. I just have this last sort of strip on the passenger side that's still got to come off. But I think now I'm going to start tackling the dash and pulling it all apart piece by piece, getting it away. The back of the bus was sort of the easy bit. This is where there's more stuff in here that I need to work around and try not to damage wiring and things like that, because I want to keep it. So let's keep tearing in.
It definitely makes it easier pulling things like a dash apart when it doesn't matter if you break things. So that is quite a handy bit, because there is basically nothing of this dash that I'm going to be keeping.
All right, well, I've got a lot of the dash out now. Finally wrestled out things, and I've labelled the wiring. One of the things I never actually paid attention to on the bus is it never had air conditioning. So I was always picturing that this had air conditioning, and I was going to be able to use the air conditioning compressor and the condenser that was already there, and then just make my own internal version. But there isn't, so it's not the end of the world. It's easy enough to get the parts. They'll be able to be available to bolt onto this engine, so I can still use the factory Toyota stuff.
So some things I'm not quite sure what I'm using and what I'm not yet. So things like the wiper motor I'm going to keep around. The heaters from the rear, like I mentioned, I'll keep, but the one from the front, it's too big and not really going to work. So just picking and choosing what I need, but if I might even remotely possibly need it, I'll save it for later. And these areas is where it starts getting more difficult because there's so many wires and brake lines and fuel lines and everything underneath these panels. It really takes a lot of time to make sure that I'm not cutting through the wrong thing. And I know many of you have said that I should try and sell some of the parts or whatever, but the thing is that almost everything on this bus was damaged in some way. There wasn't really anything much in the way of usable parts that people with camper vans would actually want. The lights and stuff were all cracked and broken, and yeah, it was just easier to just cut it up and throw it away.
I knew I was going to do it. I did exactly what I didn't want to do. I was cutting through with the reciprocating saw, and I sliced a whole bunch of wires there. It's not the end of the world, but it just means that I have to repair them, or at least the ones that I still need. I'm not sure what that will be at the moment, but yeah, it's just annoying. It's work that I didn't have to do. This was all complete and working, and I didn't have to redo it, but oh well. But we're getting there. I've got quite a lot of the bus cut away now. Yeah, most of the wiring is sort of held up out of the way, and yeah, I'm just sort of working my way through, trying to clear away this side and just pick my way through to the driver's side where all the controls are, and that's where all the difficult stuff is. The easy stuff is all over here because there's nothing much here. So I'm just going to keep going. But all things like this, I've got to sort of pick all of these wires off of the panels before I can actually start cutting things away. All right, I managed to get this panel off. The camera battery ran flat, but it was a real pain because all of these hoses all the way around were bolted on inside this sort of all the way around. So it made life really difficult to get it all disconnected. Yeah, that's just the mission of mess that I'm going to have to look at cleaning up later. But that is going to have to wait for later because I am definitely out of time. So I think that means it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hey guys, in 1905, following up from the original Ford Model A was the Model B and Model C. The Model C was Ford's entry-level car, with Horace Dodge making major changes to the 10 horsepower engine, to the rear axle and other parts of the car over the Model A. It was often referred to as the doctor's car because of its price tag at $850, which compared to the popular Oldsmobile Runabout at $650 and other cheaper offerings around at the time. Like the Model A, it also offered options such as for an extra $30 you could get a rubber top, you could get a leather top for an extra $50, and for $100 it could become a four-seater. The Model B was Ford's high-end offering with polished wood and brass trim, and it also offered Ford's first front engine layout. The 24 horsepower four-cylinder engine was positioned at the front behind a conventional radiator compared to the Model C's engine, which was two-cylinder and positioned underneath the seat. Understandably, sales of the Model B were slow, as at $2,000 it was almost triple the price of the Model C.
All right, that was a fun week. Tearing the bus apart. I've still got more to go. All the complicated bits and pieces are in the front that I still need to pull all the rest of the sort of body away from. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the progress. We actually have it in the garage, which is a huge milestone.
Because it's been pretty damp here.
Yes.
Damp, muddy.
Yeah, it's been
mucky.
wet and horrible. It's probably hard to see it from the video, but it was raining a lot of the time. I was soaking wet and just not comfortable working outside in the cold, wet rain. It's much nicer, even in the slightly cramped conditions now with the the truck in the garage, as it is no longer a bus. It's now a truck. From now on, it's a truck.
It's a truck. All right. Well, as always, if you're enjoying the videos and you haven't liked or subscribed, go ahead.
Yep.
Otherwise, Patreon if you want to help Jeff out and follow him by seeing the videos a day early with no ads.
Yes. And also an update for those who are wondering on the Alpha. I now have to wait. I'm not getting my inspection until the 1st of August, so we've got a little bit of time to wait, but I'm happy with the progress. Is just that's when I could get it booked in again. So fingers crossed it all goes well then, and I'll let you know when it gets to that time. But
It's going to be here before you know it.
yeah, we got plenty to do on the truck to keep me going anyway. All right, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.